What is going on, y'all? This is SK13. Welcome back to the channel. It is spring. The sun is finally out. The temperature is warming up. Bikes and riders are coming out of hibernation. We have new riders that just got licensed in preparation for this new riding season. So in today's video, we'll go over the top 5 beginner rider mistakes to avoid based on my experience. If you're just getting started with riding, as the temperature warms up, you'll likely be riding more and more, and eventually graduating from parking lots or your local neighborhoods that you've been riding around to the highways, busier streets, and even the twisties, which all can take a different degree of caution. Even if you're a vet with riding experience, if you don't ride for a while, the first couple of months, or not months, but the first couple of rides can be a little dicey as you start to get used to being on 2 wheels again. So hopefully this video serves as a reminder for y'all. If you have anything to add or any other pearls of wisdom, definitely comment down below and share so we can all learn from them. Make sure to stay till the end of the video though, where I'll talk about the techniques that I'm focusing on myself and I want to continue developing this riding season, and what my absolute #1 desire for this riding season is. You guys are gonna love it. By the way, these are in no particular order, so let's get started. Right off the bat, first one is riding too close to other vehicles and riding directly behind vehicles. When you're on 2 wheels, you take up a lot less space on the road. So even within your lane, you essentially have 3 mini lanes that you can travel in. You have the left side, the middle, and the right side. I prefer riding on either the left or right side because that gives me the best possible vision to see what's going on far ahead, past the vehicle in front of me. The further that you can see, the sooner you can make adjustments to your ride and your positioning. Obviously, if you're too close to these vehicles, not only does it limit your vision to see past them, but it also decreases the amount of time that you have to react and make changes. Next up, we have not using both brakes. Now this one has 2 different interpretations, both being correct, and both have their rules. So first off, we have, yes, the front brake provides the majority of the braking power on our bikes, but there is no doubt that the most optimal braking occurs when you use both together, the front and the rear. The rear brakes are smaller, but using them in conjunction with the front provides stability to the bike. The other way that you can interpret this is that the front brake has its role, and so does the rear. Meaning, essentially when you're doing your slow speed maneuvers, the rear is your best friend because of the stability it provides. You definitely want to avoid using the front when you're doing these slow speed maneuvers in most situations. If you don't believe me, try doing a slow speed turn, full lock on your steering, on your handlebars, and then use the front brake. All the force will get pushed to the front and down goes your bike. So, moral of the story, get in the habit of using both brakes concurrently for optimal braking power, and learn when to use one over the other, aka during your slow speed maneuvers, use your rear brake. It's gonna be your best friend. Okay, so let's take the rest of our mistakes and the rest of this video over to the twisty roads. Since we're already talking about brakes, let's stick with that. Braking in a corner. If you take any sort of beginner rider or licensing course, they will teach you to avoid using your brakes in the middle of a corner. If you suddenly use your brakes while in the middle of a corner, it will cause the bike to slip out beneath you, which can lead to a crash or, a close call. You want to slow down before entering the turn, then maintain smooth throttle. Then as you're exiting the turn, can progressively open the throttle as you straighten the bike up. If you need to slow down mid-turn, start decreasing the lean angle and straighten the bike up. And then as you're decreasing the lean angle, progressively apply the brakes with slowly increased pressure on the brakes the more you straighten the bike up. Progressive braking is key. Once your riding progresses, you can look into trail braking, which is a more advanced riding skill that allows you to brake while within a turn and really gives you a lot more options when you're within the turn itself. Next up, we have poor body positioning. You should be leaning as far off the bike as you can until your helmet is scraping the ground below you. Just kidding, guys. That was just a joke. Don't believe that. But yeah, jokes aside, by poor riding body positioning, I mean that when someone stays upright while riding with their elbows locked and death grip on the handlebars, all like whether they're going straight or even through a turn. What you should be doing is, multifactorial here, right? You want to be leaning into turns. Doesn't need to be a MotoGP level lean where you're trying to, scrape your knee or anything, but just enough to move with the bike and make the turn smooth. For street riding, generally leaning your upper body is enough. You shouldn't need to hang your butt off and stick your knee out to drag some knee. That can definitely come later. Look through the turn towards the direction that you want to go. If you don't look where you want to go, you'll likely deviate and end up where you don't want to be, whether that's onto the next lane over into oncoming traffic or on the side where you're going into a ditch. Or if you fixate on an obstacle, then you're going to head towards the obstacle itself. Loosen your grip on the handlebars. Hold them like you're holding an egg in each hand. Just some light pressure. Instead, what you want to do to hold onto the bike is actually grip the tank with your legs, and then if you're riding a sports bike or anything that's kind of leaned over a bit more, you want to use your core to hold yourself up so that you don't fly off the bike. Correct body positioning leads to improved stability of the bike, your control over it, and improved fatigue so you can ride longer. If only it was this easy to last longer in other things in life. Am I right? Last on this list, we have throttle control. Oftentimes, people think of abrupt opening of the throttle is what causes issues, but that's not the only case. Abrupt opening and closing of the throttle can destabilize the bike and lead to a loss in traction. Do this in a turn, things can get dicey real quick. Avoid chopping the throttle, especially during turns. Use a smooth and progressive motion to open and close the throttle to keep the bike stable. Avoid increasing throttle as you're increasing lean angle. This is a recipe for disaster. Wait till you are decreasing the lean angle and then progressively increase throttle. That brings us to the end of the list today. If there's one thing that you got out of this video, it's the fact that your goal when riding should be to do any action smoothly and ensure the bike remains stable. Avoid abrupt inputs, whether it's the throttle, your body position changes, or brakes. Otherwise, there's a risk of destabilization, which can lead to crashes and close calls. The two techniques that I plan on continuing to work on this riding season are, first, continuing to look through turns. Sometimes, I'll admit, I get distracted, especially when there is a car on the opposite lane besides me. When I'm going through turns faster, I've noticed that I do have stronger focus, so I definitely want to continue practicing so that my focus remains at a high level throughout, whether I'm going fast, whether I'm going slower, just consistent. The other one is trail braking, which is something I do now, but definitely am not consistent with it either. As I continue to ride, I want to be able to take these turns faster, but in a safe way, of course. In my opinion, continuing to work on trail braking so that I build that habit of doing it all the time will give me that added control for when I am coming in too hot, there is an obstacle on the road, or whatever the case may be, to just slow down, navigate the obstacle or issue safely, and then move on and go on about my day. Lastly, thank you everyone that stuck around till the end. For those of you that made it this far, my number one goal this riding season is to finally get a Harley or cruiser rider to wave hi back. I swear, man, they never say hi or acknowledge. Like, come on, my guy, just crack a little smile. It's okay. I'll get through to at least one of y'all this riding season, though. Anyways, guys, that brings us to the end of the video. As always, thumbs if you enjoyed it, vaporize that sub button if you loved it, and I'll catch you legends in the next one. Peace.